In this video, I will be taking you on a tour around one of the most interesting places in the world, Jerusalem. Now, this has been a crazy year. It's the first time since I became a tour guide 10 years ago that I haven't guided for a whole year. And a few weeks ago, I got an email from an 80-year-old man in the US, and he wrote me that he had planned to visit Israel, but didn't because of Corona, and now it is too late for him. And this got me thinking, and so I decided to try to make a video tour. And the best place to make the first video tour is the most important place in Israel, the old city of Jerusalem. It is smaller than 1 square kilometer in size, but in it we will see the holiest site for Jews and Christians and the third holiest site for Muslims. Other than that, there are 50 churches, 30 mosques, and 30 synagogues. Now it is Corona time and a lockdown starts today afternoon, so just note that this is not how Jerusalem usually looks like. We start here at Jaffa Gate. This is where most tours start. Jerusalem has a lot of things, history, archaeology, holy sites, but one thing Jerusalem doesn't have is a port. And Jaffa, 60 kilometers from here, was the historical port of Jerusalem. So this is here Jaffa Gate, and over there is Jaffa Road. Now we will enter the old city. As you can see, everything is closed because of Corona and because it is 7 in the morning. I like it to see the city slowly waking up. The impressive building you see right next to Jaffa Gate is called Tower of David. Did King David build it? No, it was built 1,000 years after King David. When exactly? It depends which part. In Jerusalem, you very rarely say that such and such a building was built in the 5th century or the 7th century. Most of the buildings have many layers. The big stones here are from the time of King Herod, 2,000 years ago. The moat that is surrounding the fortress is 1,000 years old, from the Crusaders era. And the smaller stones up there are very new, only 500 years old, from the Ottoman period. Now we will start walking towards the Christian Quarter. Most tours go that way, but I will show you the way I prefer. There are 4 quarters in the old city: the Jewish, the Christian, the Muslim, and the Armenian quarter. Around 6,000 people live in the Christian quarter. And we are now heading towards the heart of the Christian quarter, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. On the way, I will also show you places that are not so holy. At the end of the day, it is the people that make Jerusalem so interesting. Here is Razuk Tattoo Shop. His family has been doing tattoos for pilgrims for 700 years. So if you want to get a tattoo in Jerusalem, this is the place. Here you can see the cross of the Coptics. They are the Christians from Egypt. Tell me in the comments below if you want me to make a video about all the different crosses you will see in Jerusalem. There are so many denominations, and I think that by learning about others, other religions, other denominations, that you can better understand your own. And here you see a father sending his daughters to school, standing on a 1,700-year-old pavement. When Israel renovated the infrastructure in the old city, they found an ancient road beneath street level, and they brought it up to the surface so that today you are basically walking on a pavement that is 1,700 years old. Normally, when we are not living with Corona, this street is full and most people don't even notice it. We turn now into the shortest street in Israel, St. Helena. She was the mother of Constantine. According to tradition, she was the one who in 325 found the cross on which Jesus was crucified, and this is the spot on which the Church of the Holy Sepulchre was built, and here it is. So now, because of Corona, the church is closed. In a couple of weeks, I will make a video about the church, so please subscribe. And I will just say that to see the Church of the Holy Sepulchre like this is special. This is, if when you will come here, it will not look like this. It will look more like this. Now we will go up to the roof of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre through two chapels that belong to the Ethiopians. On the roof of the church, there is a small village. I will be talking about it in the video about the church. And here you can see the 9th station of the Via Dolorosa. There are 5 stations inside the church and 9 outside the church. Here you can see that this corner is blocked with stones. And why is that? So that men don't urinate in this corner. I did promise you that not all the places I will show you are holy. Now we enter the Muslim quarter, which is the largest one. 25,000 people live here. The first 6 stations of the Via Dolorosa are in the Muslim quarter. Notice that we are descending now, walking down the stairs. In a minute, I will explain why it is important. We are now walking down the Haggai Street, one of the main streets in the old city of Jerusalem. It is an ancient road that plays a small part in how we view the world. When we think about cultural sites, we often think about man-made creation. But at this point, the geography plays a role. The meaning of the name Haggai in Hebrew, or El Wad in Arabic, is ravine or valley. After thousands of years of building, destruction, and rebuilding, it is not as noticeable as it was, but there is a valley or ravine here. This one was the natural border, the western border of ancient Jerusalem. The Kidron Valley on the other side was the eastern border. These two valleys create a V shape. The vulnerable side of Jerusalem is the north. In the book of Jeremiah, it reads, "From the north, disaster will be poured out on all who live in the land." The idea that trouble will come from the north, winter is coming, come from here, the topography of Jerusalem. And this street, this valley, by the way, leads, you won't believe where, to hell, to Gehenom. But I will talk about that in a different video. We continue straight to the Western Wall in the Jewish Quarter. Next week I will be uploading a long video about the Western Wall. So for now I will continue to the Jewish Quarter. Once we walk up the stairs, we will have a better view and better understanding of Temple Mount. So here we have a better view of it all. The Dome of the Rock is the most impressive building in the old city. It is a shrine, but not a mosque. Unlike other important buildings that were destroyed and rebuilt or remodeled and changed, most of the building is original. The Dome of the Rock was built in the 7th century, and it is one of the oldest Islamic buildings still standing today. It is named after the natural rock in its center, which is considered very important in Judaism as well. The Jews believe that this is the foundation stone, the stone from which the world was made, and upon which Abraham almost sacrificed his son Isaac. The first and second temple were built right on this stone. The Muslims believe that Muhammad ascended to heaven after standing upon this stone. Now, Jerusalem is mentioned in the Jewish Bible more than 600 times and about 150 times in the New Testament. Jerusalem isn't mentioned in the Quran at all, not even once. So how did Jerusalem become the third most important city to Islam after Mecca and Medina? The 17th Surah, chapter 17 of the Quran, tells the story of Muhammad's night journey. Muhammad rides El-Burak, an animal with the body of a horse, the wings of a bird, and a woman's head, to the furthest mosque. The meaning of furthest in Arabic is Al-Aqsa, and that is the name of the mosque with a gray dome. The mosque was built in the beginning of the 8th century. The Western Wall, as you can see from here, is a retaining wall that supports the huge platform of the Temple Mount. Now I have nothing important to say here, so I will ask you to give this video a like and to subscribe. Making this video takes a lot of time, and it really helps if you show some love. Here you can see a ruined synagogue. Remember it, as I will say something about it in a minute. So now we are in the middle of the Jewish Quarter. About 6,000 people live here. As you can see, all the buildings here are very new, a bit too new. The reason for it is that after the Jews lost the Jewish quarter in 1948, the Jordanians blew up all the buildings. It was only after the Six-Day War in 1967, when Israel liberated the old city, that the quarter was rebuilt. Its destruction was, of course, a terrible loss, but there was also a silver lining. Because it was all ruined, large part of the quarter were excavated, and so there are some underground museums presenting very interesting artifacts from the time of the Second Temple. Now, this impressive synagogue that you can see behind me is called HaChurva, the ruined synagogue. And what is the name of the synagogue we just saw a minute ago? Tiferet Israel, the glory of Israel. I absolutely love it. The most impressive synagogue is called the Ruined Synagogue, and the Ruined Synagogue is called the Glory of Israel. I won't talk about this synagogue because it is a long story. Instead, I want to show you the oldest synagogue in the old city of Jerusalem. The synagogue is closed now, but it belongs to the Karaite Judaism. I'm often asked, usually by non-Jews, why Orthodox Jews wear black, why there are so many rules about how and what to eat, and where all the rules come from. They don't appear in the Bible, the Jewish Bible. And the answer is that Judaism, like Christianity, evolved with time, and many rules and customs were added in the Mishnah, the Talmud, and the Jewish books that rabbis have written in the last 2,000 years. The Karaite Judaism started in the 7th century and said that the only thing that really counts is the written Bible and not the oral Bible. They called us, the regular Jews, the rabbinical Jews, meaning the Jews that follow the rabbis and not the Bible. I find it very interesting, and their synagogue is also very special. If you are from the UK, this might look familiar. The British were here only for a short while, from the end of World War I to the end of World War II, but they left a mark and did a lot of good for the city. They decided that there will be no heavy industry in Jerusalem. They removed all the houses and huts that were built next to the walls of the old city. So today we can enjoy the sites as the walls were as they were built 500 years ago. And in general, they were the ones that brought Jerusalem from the Middle Ages to the modern era. Today, nobody dares to say anything positive about colonialism. Thank God that I'm here. Now, so if you're watching from the UK, thank you. Not everything you did was wrong. And we continue. So here you can see the Cardo, the main street in the Roman city of Jerusalem. And from here we continue to the last and smallest quarter, the Armenian quarter. There are Jewish, Muslim, Christian quarters. and that much makes sense. But why should the Armenians have their own quarter in the most important place in the world? Why not, I don't know, Australian quarter? Everybody loves the Australians. There is actually a good reason why the Armenians get a quarter. They were the first nation to convert to Christianity, and they started to come to Jerusalem from the beginning of the 4th century. When the Crusaders came, they killed all the Muslims and the Jews, but they didn't harm the Armenians. And at the beginning of the 20th century, some Armenians who survived the Armenian genocide came here as refugees. I think that many other tour guides really like the small communities, the Coptics from Egypt, the Karaites Jews, the Armenians. I always encourage tourists to visit their museums, donate to them, and buy their goods. You know, they don't have the Catholic Church or Russia behind them. It was Armenian families who brought the art of Armenia ceramics and renovated the Dome of the Rock and made the street name signs for the British. By the way, the British were the first to name the streets in the old city. The Armenian monks are easy to spot with their mountain-like hats. They resemble their holiest mountain, Mount Ararat. The name of this street is Ararat, and there is a nice story about it. Mount Ararat is not in Armenia, but in Turkey. And the Turks didn't like the fact that the flag of Armenia has an image of a mountain that is located in their territory. So they protested to the Russians, as back then Armenia was part of the Soviet Union. And Khrushchev replied to Turkey, "Why do you have a moon depicted on your flag? After all, the moon doesn't belong to the Turks. Do you want to take over the moon?" Turkey dropped the matter after that. From here, I could have gone back to Jaffa Gate. It's about 5 minutes walk from here. But I want to show you one last place, the rooftop lookout. Some guides love lookouts. I'm not a big fan of standing in one place and talking about many different places, but this lookout is special. We go up a couple of stairs and we can see everything, the Mount of Olives and all the places we've talked about on this tour, the Christian quarter with the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, the Muslim quarter, Temple Mount, the holiest place for the Jews, Al-Aqsa Mosque, the Jewish quarter, and the Armenian quarter. This is also a good place to finish the tour with a quote from Benjamin the Israeli, who was the first Jewish Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. He visited the land of Israel 200 years ago and wrote in his book, "The view of Jerusalem is the history of the world. It is more. It is the history of earth and of heaven." That's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, then try my booklets. You can read everything I say on my 3 most popular tours, Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, and Masada. If you like this new concept of long video tours, then let me know in the comments below. See you in the next video. Yalla bye.